Alright, in part 15 we have a prophecy fulfilled, some more holy hocus pocus, and some of my highlights of 2024. So I just have to begin with this, the Star of Jacob prophecy, full story in this playlist, parts 2 and 3 on this channel. Link in the description. But this prophecy was fulfilled, so to speak. The prophecy involved a star appearing on this date, and one was seen on this date, as prophesied in this so-called holy book. But the end of the prophecy was also fulfilled, so to speak. At the end of 70 days after the star was seen calculates to the 7th of December, the 7th day of the week, and the prophecy says there will be a trembling around the holy place on that day. Now, I had already said I was looking out for this date on this channel, and I kept checking the news looking for stories, but then midnight of the 7th occurred and became Sunday the 8th. Nothing of biblical significance had happened, not until the next morning, when a certain regime was toppled, so to speak. And at first I thought that perhaps it was just a coincidence that Assad had been disposed of so close to the prophecy's end date. And on the face of it, there hadn't been a trembling around the holy place, the much anticipated earthquake. Not as far as I could see. That was until I recalled that a certain calendar defines a day as beginning after sunset and ending on the next day's sunset. This means that December the 7th converts to 6 Kislev until you convert that date as beginning after sunset, which means that Saturday after sunset was indeed 7 Kislev, the 7th day at the end of the 70 days after the star's first sighting. Assad was gone in the early hours of Sunday morning. It happened before sunset on Sunday the 8th, so the whole thing occurred on Saturday the 7th after sunset, or 7 Kislev, fitting the prophecy perfectly. But what about this foretold trembling within the prophecy? Where was the earthquake? Well, for that, I need to hand you over to this guy.
Because we need to update the situation on the Kochav Yaakov, the Star of Jacob prophecy. People say, what happened? Did it happen? Did it didn't happen? Earthquake, what's going on? So, and I think it's pretty clear that we had a pretty serious seismic earthquake event in the Middle East. The most important reason why the fall of Damascus is a big deal is because it plays right into these end of days prophecies. And after tonight, you'll see how significant this was, how it really was this earthquake that the Zohar predicted, and why I felt like it would always be a political earthquake and not a geological one.
Let's not forget here that the comet was only visible until mid-October. We were advised that the beginning of the prophecy was fulfilled with all of this, and we're also being told that the end of it has come to pass as well in mainstream sources. So what do you think? Is the Creator finally colouring in his Book of Wonders? Or is it something else entirely? Something else that happened after sunset on December 7th, the reopening of Notre Dame Cathedral, 5 years after the fire back in 2019. You know who was there, with many other notables. There are some interesting correlations about what we've seen so far in this episode and this event. Firstly, the time between the date of the fire and Trump's first win is 888 days. Notre Dame figures to 888 in this cipher, and Trump's name in the same cipher forward, 888. But I couldn't help but wonder why he was there at all. Wouldn't just Mrs. Biden have sufficed? I had a deeper look at Notre Dame. There's this old 1st century artifact, the Pillar of the Boatmen, a Roman relic discovered on the same site. The artifact is seemingly dedicated to the Roman god Jupiter. Wikipedia give us a nice picture of it. There it is. Inscribed upon this pillar are the 2 stars Castor and Pollux, the 2 main stars in Gemini. Yes, the tropical birth sign of his Trumpiness. Very interesting. And with this pillar being dedicated to Jupiter and having Castor and Pollux inscribed on it, It seems so very fitting that as Trump went to Notre Dame in December 2024, Jupiter was in tropical Gemini. I'm sure it's all just a big coincidence. Castor and Pollux give us another 888, believe it or not, resonating very well with the others so far. 6 days later, this holy relic was returned. This leads to another 888. And this biblical verse, when the numerical value of each seventh letter in this verse is added together, we get 888, a very special number. And we have already seen the first part of this verse in part 13 of this series, on this billboard. And in the Economists Tarot series, we've also seen this phrase as well. That was on the award that he got from a certain organisation this year. He got it 9 months and 11 days before the Notre Dame reopening. Weird. But the strangest link between these two synchronized events is this. It's an architectural one. I'll let this lady explain. Very peculiar. Just a coincidence, I'm sure.
And Notre Dame in Paris. The first church in that style dates from the 5th century and still stands on a remote hilltop in war-torn Syria.
I'm sure it's all just a big coincidence. And the Economist Tarot spread. How well does the Tower card resonate here? Hey, maybe they were right. So I thought I'd take a quick look at some of the highlights from this series over the last year, starting with part 10 in February 24, and the comparison I made to Pluto being like an atom bomb. Then, the day Pluto hit the 0-degree line again, the following November 19th, we saw headlines like this in the media on the very same day. Not bad at all. And a little rewind here to part 8A from May 2023, when I placed Charlie Boy's new kingly crown on the Baphomet in the synchronical model. Then almost a year to the day, Charlie Boy was himself compared to the Baphomet when his portrait came out 363 days later. Pretty good, pretty good. And who could forget this from part 12?
God literally gave us Donald Trump, and they are going to try to assassinate President Trump.
Just 20 days later, something like that would occur. Also from that episode, when I was including that prediction and Trump's run for the November selection, maybe some of you saw this, maybe some didn't, but I included a little unidentified flying object in this clip from part 12. You can see it here, just as November is on the screen. After mentioning Jupiter's incursion into Gemini in May, it's there, resonating amazingly with the start of the current UFO drone sightings. Great synchro. And regarding the Star of Jacob again from an interview I did on December 1st when I got the Gregorian date exactamundo. Another part of that prophecy is that at the end of 70 days, the star will shine for 70 days, and at the end of 70 days, something else happens. And that 70 days comes to an end on the 6th, this month. So perhaps this weekend, maybe Sunday, we will see another piece of the jigsaw being laid down. The following Sunday, as mentioned there, was December 8th, the exact Gregorian date of that seismic event. So a pretty good year on this channel. Thousands and thousands of views and likes and lots of awards and applause. Wait. That's not really happening, is it? Nobody cares. When it comes to just buying me a little coffee, the only people that thought me worthy. Asking for patrons is even more heartbreaking. People showing their love there. Only 2. I don't think I can... I don't know, it's so frustrating. I was talking about the Star of Jacob prophecy in April. Check it, April. And then it only goes viral 6 months later. 6 months. I don't know, maybe I should change the Evolution and just make cat videos. And believe me, that would not be difficult at all. It's alright. I get the message. A look ahead to 2025 now, and the similarity between the charts for the USA's inception and our current crazy 2020 era. Pluto on the 0 degree of Aquarius in both charts, of course, and Uranus going into Gemini on July 8th next year. Neptune will also change sign and hit the 0 degree of Aries. That will happen March 31st. Astrological Neptune will be opposite its USA chart position. Saturn will hit the 0 degree of Aries in May next year. I might make a separate video exploring this, but Neptune's illusory qualities and rigid Saturn kind of oppose each other, and this could be an even weirder period, if that is at all possible. And I think it is. By all accounts, this situation could get worse and worse over the coming years. There's little doubt that prophecies are, coming true, and they all culminate in this. And part 11, take a look at that episode if you haven't seen it. It all lines up, and as we've already seen, this one as well also fits, with a geological quake swapped out for a political one. And there is a bit more to the end of the prophecy too. There are definitely conflicts all around the world. It also says a great king will rise within the 70-day period. His spirit will gain pride. I think we can all guess who the prideful one is. Some great colour coding there on his Notre Dame visit. There may probably be some temporary peace, like his last term, and even a nice shiny coin to go with it. But with all this possibly coming into view, and the allusions to the Messianic era, it is hard to ignore just how pertinent it all is. And with this return to Notre Dame, it will go on display on the 10th of Jan, and an interesting number here from the selection date until then. And from the anointing date until this date, 88 days. Could make for an interesting Easter. Please consider supporting the channel. I'd be as happy as a kid at Christmas. Anything you could do to help would be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you next time.